Hey everybody, John here from J. Peterson Photography. Wanted to talk to you today a little bit about the process I go through for determining which images I want to process and post on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, even my website. Very few images actually make it all the way to my professional website, but um, at least I wanted to kind of walk you through the process. And really, what I do, I use Lightroom as my image catalog. So I'll go through and look at all of the images that I've taken from a shoot. I will discard the ones that I know I won't touch. They're either technically not right or something happened compositionally that I just know instantly they belong in the trash can. So I'll go through and trash the ones that I can, mainly to save some hard drive space. And then I'll go through and rate all of my images in Lightroom. It's either, for me, it's really either 5 stars or it's no stars. So the ones that are really good or the ones that are not good. I'll leave those no star images in my library for at least a year, and I'll revisit them and I'll go back and process maybe a few of them. Because sometimes my rating system's a bit off when I look at images. It could be a mood thing. But once I get images rated, then I go through and figure out which ones I want to process. Sometimes it depends on my mood. Sometimes I feel like processing a dynamic scene. Other times I feel like processing kind of a tranquil, mellow, serene type of scene. But what I've done today for this example is I've just pulled a few images from a recent shoot that I did out in the Columbia River Gorge. And I wanted to kind of talk you through the self talk that I go through as I look at these images, figuring out which ones I want to do. So this first image is from Gorton Creek. It's kind of the eastern end of the lush part of the Columbia River Gorge, and this is called Emerald Falls. I spent maybe half an hour, 45 minutes photographing these falls. I shot multiple different compositions, both in landscape as well as portrait orientation. Partly I shot a widespread just because I never know what I feel like when I come back home, and so I want lots of options to choose from in my available images to process. So this particular one I shot in a horizontal mode, in a landscape mode. And again, these are unprocessed images, so everything is, you're looking at the raw file, so everything's a little bit flat. So don't look at the colors and the sharpness and everything else. These are just the unedited raw images. I like this image a lot. It's a really solid, just typical waterfall scene. I think for me, the main story is the waterfall, and oh, yeah, by the way, there's a forest and a stream up behind it. These scenes are sometimes relatively tough to shoot because they are a high contrast scene. You've got the really bright white of the water and then the really dark of the rock, and trying to get a really balanced exposure across both of them can be challenging at times. But I think this thing came out pretty well. I think the water's a little bit hot, a little bit overcooked. The foliage is well exposed. The rocks in the foreground are well exposed. The rocks on the wall up here to the right, these are getting a little dark, but I know that I can pull this out in post processing. So overall, I think this is a really good, solid image telling the story of Emerald Falls. So I think that would be a good candidate for me to process. The same falls. Here's another shot. The same falls shot in a portrait mode. Much different feeling and much different story, because here with this orientation of the camera, besides the waterfall, I'm also getting a lot of vertical elements in the trees. So it's much more of a situational shot of this waterfall in the forest. So I do kind of like this shot. It's a little bit different. It's more of a little bit more of a documentary shot in my mind. Again, kind of a high contrast scene, dark rocks, big white water. I think the water's a little overcooked for me as well in this, but the rest of the scene is really well exposed. I can do a lot with all of this information up here. I might even tone down the brights back here, Definitely pop the greens. I'll tone down the white water a little bit. Maybe put a slight vignette on it. But this image I know would process up really, really well, and I do like it. The next image, again, same location, a slightly different composition. Still in the portrait mode, I'm still getting that vertical effect with the water and the trees. The one thing that's a little bit different is I get a little bit more of this foreground rock and plant life in the front. So that gives, to some people, it gives a nice lead in into the scene. Other folks might find it a little bit of a blocker to get into the scene. It's kind of up to you which way you like it. I do like this image. I intentionally shot it a third to two-thirds of a stop under just because I didn't want to overcook the water. Doing that, though, I know that I can pull a lot of brightness and a lot of information out in post-processing. So I wasn't too worried about underexposing this image. Both of those vertical shots are nice to me. What I'd like to do is what I sometimes do as well is look at them in a split screen. Say, which one do I like more? Well, it's kind of six of one, half dozen of another. They're really, really close. I think the one on the left, I have a little bit more of a rock here than I do on the right. I think that got cut off in the video. Sorry about that. Got a little bit more rock here. I've got a little bit more foreground in this. It kind of bounds the waterfall a little bit better for me than the scene on the right, where it's less bound by natural objects. So I think between these two shots, I would probably choose the one on the left because it gives me a little bit more of an anchored feeling having the waterfall, the splash pool bounded by some rocks. So between the two, I would pick, they're both worthy shots. It's really up to you. This is the great part about being an artist. You get to pick the shot that you wanna see. So let's go take a look at another shot. This one is from a little bit further down the road. Sorry about that. A little bit further down the road in the gorge. This is a wonderful meadow with trees that flood. This meadow floods when there's lots of rain. What really caught my eye in this image was at the time I drove up on it, the water was really still, so there was a lot of reflection of those trees. I also liked the curve of the grass. So this curve here, I really, really liked, as well as this S/U curve back here. Really like that image a lot. So when I was out there shooting it, at the time I couldn't get one particular composition that I absolutely loved that I knew was it. So I shot multiple different compositions. This is just one of the better examples. As I'm looking at this, exposure wise, it's a great image. It works fine from an exposure perspective. But from a composition, now that I'm back here, it just doesn't speak to me as much. Maybe towards the end of the year, if I don't have anything left to process, this is one that I may go back and touch and see what I can do. Sometimes I do let my images sit for a while and kind of ferment. And when I look at it in a few months from now, maybe I'll like it more than I like it today. But right now, it's not telling a strong enough story. The curves aren't telling enough of a story. The reflection's not telling enough of a story. So this is one that I would probably pass on and not process. The next shot is from a small little side stream in the Columbia River Gorge. Couple of months, or actually just a month before when this picture was taken, this stream was absolutely raging. And I come back in just a few weeks later and it's there's just kind of down to a trickle now. So I thought I'd kind of shoot this. I shot, again, multiple different compositions, and this was one that I picked out to talk about a little bit. The things I like about this scene, I like the water. So the water's not overcooked. Got the right length of shutter speed for me to give some definition in the water. I really like that. There's lots of good greens in the image. I enjoy that. I really like this fern here. This is a wonderful fern. So, there's some good elements in here that I like. some things that I don't like. The whole bottom half of this image is filled with these rocks. And there's not enough water movement down there to really justify having that in the scene. If I had, my preference, I would crop that out of there. It doesn't add anything to the story that I'm trying to tell. The other thing that I don't like is this fern over here on the left is cut off. So I've got half a fern poking into the frame. And while I'm at it talking about ferns, I've got this one fern frond going out of the frame as well, which I don't like. I like to have space. I want to see the end of this frond, and I'm not doing it in this image. So you guys will have to give me a little bit of a break too, because I am putting up shots that I know I won't process, some of my garbage shots, as an example. So cut me a little bit of slack on that one. So this is a shot that I probably wouldn't process. Yeah, it's a nice shot. Yeah, there's a lot of great greens in there, but from a storytelling perspective, from a really scenic perspective, it doesn't do really anything for me. If I wanted a small, intimate little stream shot, what I should have done was focus just on this upper part in the stream right up here. Put on a zoom lens, really zoom into that area, and tell some more intimate landscape types of stories of that stream. So this one, I could process it. Technically it's fine, but I don't think I'm going to touch this even by the end of the year. Then the last example I want to show you is a series that I shot up overlooking the Columbia River Gorge. I got skunked at sunrise, and I was driving down I-84, and this beautiful light started to appear because there was a break in the clouds. And so I popped up to this one overlook and got the ability to capture some of the beautiful light that was filtering into the gorge. What I really like about this scene, what really makes this picture for me, are two things. Number one, the rays. So the crepuscular rays that are over here, beautiful stuff. But the thing that I really, really love about this scene is the quality of this light right down here. This is the type of stuff that is just beautiful. To me, that's the thing that really makes this scene for me. And I think I'm being extra picky because I've shot this location numerous times, and so I look for those smaller little things to really make an image special. So this happens to be one of those special images for me. Notice that down here in the lower right, the forest area, it's a little bit dark. Still tons of detail down there. I know I can bring that out in post-processing. I can bring this out a little bit out in post-processing, but I don't want to do too much because this was sunrise, and so it is dark out there. Some of the things I also might do is really try to accentuate these rays just a smidge. I also might try to accentuate the lines of these hillsides coming down into the water. So overall, this is definitely a keeper image for me and one that I will process. So that's what I got for today. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to putting up another video for you.